Hey everyone, welcome to Build Series. I'm your host, Brittany Jones-Cooper. Since it premiered in 2012, Veep has been one of the most consistently funny and smartest comedies on television. Today, I'm sitting down with Anna Chlumsky, who plays Chief of Staff Amy Brookheimer, to discuss how Selina and her fumbling team will say goodbye in Veep's 7th and final season. Take a look.
Okay, guys, what happened at the airport today can never, ever happen again. And so, as such, I have had Amy prepare a full autopsy of the last campaign to specifically identify problem areas within the organization. Okay, so Amy?
Thank you, ma'am. I have put together a summary list of what I discovered were the most egregious
I said
flaws
this
of our
already.
organization.
This is what I just said.
Yeah.
Great. First and foremost, there was a reluctance on the part of the candidate to take responsibility for mistakes.
What? No, you were the one that made mistakes. What else? Go on.
Second, there was a culture of blame which made people feel unsafe expressing criticisms.
What dumb asshole said that?
Number 3, an unwillingness to actually discuss strategies and share ideas with campaign staff.
Autopsy
4,
is now over. Forget about it.
Please help me welcome Anna Chlumsky.
Hi. Hi.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm very good.
Does all of this feel so surreal? Because, I mean, we've been waiting for this. The fans are so excited. You guys, I'm sure, taped this a while ago, so
Yeah, it
now
is.
it's here.
It is. Reed and I were saying this morning that it's like the whole kind of acceptance process to the end of it has been up and down because it was so profound and dramatic when we finished it. For us, not dramatic. It's obviously a comedy, but it's also it can cut. But we. And so like the last, I would say winter has been very much like a process of acceptance. Oh, it's over, and how is everybody, and just tapering. And now this week, we're all together, and we're all seeing each other, and it's all kind of like up again. So yeah, now it's like we're going to have to go through that all again.
And this has been such a journey for you. Obviously, this show premiered in 2012, but you were working with Armando Iannucci since 2009.
Yeah.
So like you were in The Loop, which was
Yes.
a spinoff of In the Thick of It, which of course inspired Veep.
Well, yes.
Is that right?
Sort
Yeah.
of. A lot of people have said that Thick of It inspired Veep. It really didn't. It's just about politics, and it's by the same creators. But it's different characters completely, and it's a different office. And so that's people have gotten confused, and I think not. I don't know. No,
Thank you for clearing it up.
That's
I
great.
feel like now's the time.
It's all good. Yeah, right. Let's get it. Let's get it clear. No, but In the Loop was it was a spinoff. It was similar characters. I think 2 or 3 of the characters from Thick of It actually made it into In the Loop, and were featured. I mean, Malcolm and it's Toby and those.
So you've been sort of in this political realm. Are you ready to leave it?
Sure. I know. I joke. I think. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I think when an actor starts to find some sort of I don't want to say repeats, but like a niche of some sort, because it at least means that they're working. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, the fact that I've played, I think 5 or 6 characters that have had a government badge, like at least means that I've played 5 or 6 characters, which is good news, you know.
Checks the paycheck.
Yeah, but certainly, there's more to play out there, and I'm excited to find out what that's going to be. So yeah.
And you have taken Amy on such an amazing ride. I mean, she's been up, she's been
Or
down.
she's taken me.
Well, that's true. She's been with Selina. She's taken time on her own, and now we left last season with her revealing to Dan Egan, her like nemesis / I don't know what they are, that she's pregnant with his baby.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Can we talk about this?
Well, yeah. What would you like to know?
Yeah. How?
Where do we
I
start?
just don't know how these characters are going to handle this. Like, I'm so nervous for them.
I know, and nervous for any progeny of them. Yeah, I feel you. I'm totally in the same boat. I do think that this is just what I think that Amy and Dan don't believe in love, but what they have is love. As best that they can do with it. You know what I mean? And that's why it never makes sense, and we don't know what to call it, and they don't know what to call it, because it's not even in their vocabulary what it is that they have felt for each other for all these years. and so then it just takes all these different shapes, which is delightful to watch. And I'm sure there's at least several people out there in the world that can relate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that this really, it's the real life stuff that makes them have to examine everything that's come up till now. So
I do love that we're going to get to see the real life, because we see them in their roles so much professionally.
Right.
We see little bits and pieces of their personal life, but it's always sort of quick. But I feel like now they're
they
gonna-
barely have a
Yeah, they
person.
barely have them. But now they're sort of having to deal with, and I'm excited to see them sort of outside of the office a little bit, dealing with the real life.
It's there's some figuring out to do in this season for them.
What is it like working with Reed Scott? Because your dynamic is so fun to watch. And you
Yeah.
guys seem like really great scene partners.
Oh I think we have. I mean, honest to goodness, I was there for the chemistry read back in the beginning. A chemistry read, for anybody who's not in this industry, is like when you're auditioning for characters, sometimes they'll ask several of the people who they're looking at for the characters to read together to see chemistry. So I think we probably noticed that we were good scene partners from the get-go. And that was important because I think that Armand and all the writers did expect the Amy-Dan kind of relationship to live on in some way. I mean, they even wrote it so that before the series began, there was some history. So yeah, it was always sort of on purpose. And he's great to play with. Yeah, when we finished this series, but there's like an episode where you could tell I was like, oh, this is the moment where we understand Amy and Dan, and we both felt that very much. There were some lovely tender moments for them in our way. It's still Veep.
There's still going to be like F-bombs and
And they're not the cleanest of individuals when it comes to their souls.
Amy also has, I think, one of the most interesting relationships with Selina. And I have tried to input all the psychology knowledge I know into this relationship because I think they're the closest, but Selina treats her the worst.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, it's funny. Julia and I have never really gotten to really psychoanalyze. I feel like it would take days to really bang out exactly what's been going on. But we just live it, and I think that's what they do. And yeah, there's definitely so much to read into it because there is that element when you have a female boss and a female employee of you're with them because you kind of see yourself in them and you want to mentor that person and you want to foster this relationship, yet because you are so close, sometimes you take everything out that you would on yourself on that person. And then for Amy to revere Selina, for as many years as she has, and then to be as betrayed as she was, and then to betray her back, and it's ugly. It's actually kind of ugly. Yeah. It's ugly beautiful, maybe.
But that's what the show does so perfectly. Is that so much of the things they are doing are just the worst.
Yeah.
But it's so funny, and there's always it's pushed as far as it can go without just being irretrievable.
Well, yeah. I mean, satire has to bite. You know, that's what Kevin said that the other day. He was just like, it has to. No, he said it. Satire has to be close to the bone, and it's true. It has to. And that's we're not for the faint of heart for that reason.
Right. So obviously no spoilers, but in the final season, do we see that dynamic evolve at all or change, or is it
between Selina and Amy? Oh heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, this season, we all knew that this was the last season when we started, which is a blessing because but many series don't get to know ahead of time when they're being canceled or when they're stopping, and we got to choose when to stop this one, and for creative reasons, which is it's just the best way, to make this decision. And so we really got to embrace every moment. So yeah, there were certainly, in the filming of it, if there were scenes where you're kind of like, wow, is this, I don't know, are we allowed to go here? Don't we have to save anything for next year? And you're like, nope, there's no next year. We got to go for everything. So that's, Selina and Amy are part of that.
And what is that process like? Because I know they give you scripts, but I've also read that there is an improv element as well.
Yeah, it's that changes depending on how much time there is to shoot, how much overtime we've done. Also, who's directing and what their process is, how familiar and comfortable they are with going off script. But yeah, basically, when we started the show, for the first 4 years, it was at the helm of Armando Iannucci and our exec producers with him. And his process is very improvisatory in the writing of it. So you would workshop the actual episodes, and you'd play a lot, just kind of like as you would in a theater rehearsal, and then they would write down what we would find, and so then that would be very like 97% scripted. And so then when Dave Mandel took over, he is also very open to new ideas, to alternative takes. He loves to say one for fun, but the workshops change because that's not his process. And so yeah, sometimes you'll get stuff that's improvised because they just don't yell cut, and you have to keep going and living in a scene. Sometimes, like I say, he'll say, there will be one for fun, or we're famous/infamous for alts, which is our abbreviation for alternative lines, which you can just kind of get them shouted at you while you're doing it. So that almost feels, like Dave is actually improvising right there with you, say this instead, So yeah, there is like that muddy quality always. But yeah, 90s, I would, my non-scientific guess, or, is 97% is scripted that you see.
Has that changed your approach as an actor, though? Was that something you had to get used to in this role, or is that something you were already comfortable, like doing even just a little bit of improv in a scripted show?
I mean, I'm not trained in improv in the sense that, we have the OGs of improv in our show, the very best. Matt Walsh and Dan Backetall, and of course Julia did SNL. We have some of the best pedigree of improv training, of which I have none. So mine, I'm more classically trained. So my improv kind of is more similar to like what you would do in a Meisner class, where you, and that's actually more what we do. We have brilliant writers, and they're so funny. So the pressure to come up with something funny on the fly is absolutely unnecessary, and maybe even, discouraged, because why step on anything they wrote? Really what it's there for is to do the more actory Meisnery thing, which is just to understand how your character lives. You already know your intention, you already know the story, and now it's just a matter of getting what you want from your scene partner. So that can go off script, and that can be very comfortable. It can be, you can discover so much that way.
You mentioned the amazing writers, and I'm right there with you. The things that come out of your mouth, Amy's mouth, are spectacular. Do you have a favorite quote? Because she's had so many.
I really am the very worst. I'm probably every Veep fan and entertainment journalist's least favorite when it comes to this question, because I really do sort of data dump.
Oh, for sure.
But and what I need to do, and this is my last time, so I guess I didn't do this ever. But just sit down and write them down and remember. But one I was fond of was when Amy said that she felt like she was on life support and everybody she worked with was pulling out the plug to charge their phones. That was I thought that was such a great observation and great metaphor for what she was going through.
That is great, because people like to dump on her.
Yeah.
And when Reed was here, he mentioned a scene in the upcoming season where everybody does an impersonation of Amy.
Oh, yeah.
So for you, in that scene,
really
watching
funny.
that scene, what was that like?
It was hilarious, because it's one of those things where you're like, well, that's not. And that's what she's going through, too, because they're doing the impersonation for her. And she's like, that's no, you are so not, that's not me at all. But it is funny, because it's not necessarily me. It's just hilarious to see Julia kind of, non-verbally make fun of anybody. It's one of my favorite things when she's when she doesn't have a comeback and she just goes, like that's some of my favorite Veep moments is when Julia's
absolutely.
just doing that. So it's in that vein. I feel happy and lucky that I got to have some nonverbal insult like thrown at me from Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
I have to say one of my favorite scenes, since you asked, was when
one of your favorite scenes?
Was when Amy got to just basically cuss out Selena.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, I don't trust you to run a bath by yourself
I love that
without
line.
calling the Coast Guard or the fire department.
Fire department. I love that line.
When she laid into her,
is-
that felt great.
Yeah, that is like, I know. I mean, especially considering that I think in the very pilot of the show, you know, Selena was staggered by our incompetence, and so basically it's like, no, you're the one who's incompetent,
Well, in
and
that
I
clip-
wouldn't trust. Yeah, and
Yeah, the
it's,
clip
yeah,
you showed.
yeah,
It's just amazing. She does not like to be called out. When she gets called out, it feels so good.
yeah.
Speaking of Julia, we know that she had her cancer diagnosis, and that was part of the reason this final season was delayed. She's healthy now.
Healthy now.
Everybody's so excited and
Yeah.
pumped. What was that like coming back, that first table read, and just getting kind of back into the flow?
It felt like a triumph, if you know, but also in a very reverent sense to like the knowledge that was not even my struggle. You know what I mean? Like that was like it was just complete triumph for her. Like, you know, just I guess I don't know, vicarious triumph, is that even?
When you love somebody,
that okay?
yeah,
I don't know, yeah.
I think it is okay.
Yeah.
I think I felt that way, and I
Good.
don't know her because she's somebody who we love,
Yeah.
and she's so gracious. Everything you hear is so positive. So
This
yeah,
entire planet is better.
we can be
for having
happy
Julia
for that.
Louis-Dreyfus in it. So yeah,
I
exactly.
agree. And in those final kind of days, what was the vibe like? I know it takes. I've heard it takes like 8 or so days to film like the
It was
episode.
that by then it was taking us 8 days to do
Yeah.
the episode, and yeah, so it was long, drawn out gorgeousness. Like I have to, because I'm a feeler. I feel a lot, and you know, I have big feelings, and so the fact that you know, we were finishing, and obviously you just kind of don't know what to do with those. You don't even know what to call them because it's the first time you've ever gone through something like that as a collective. And so from the very first table read, you know, Julia's speech to all of us, and you know, was very tearful, and Tim and all of us. There was complete like openness and accessibility to one another, and I mean, what workplace do you know where you get to have that? I mean, that's incredible, and so yeah, to just be able to do that together, I think was really special, really profound, and really kind of, I don't know, like emotionally intimate. It was with 100 people, you know, with hundreds of people who would gather around the monitors to rap out any given actor, because we you know, not all of our scenes were together, so we were doing it sort of in succession, and yeah, it was stunning. It was really special.
So did you have just a lot of goodbyes then, or was
A lot of
there
goodbyes.
like a big
It was
party
goodbye
at the
after
end?
goodbye. Well, there was a rap party, but then we continued to shoot. The rap party was awesome, and the band was phenomenal. Yeah, it was great, and yeah, we did like, I don't know, what felt like a 15-minute electric slide. It was heaven, and right.
That's how you know it's a party.
It's true.
It's like, play it again. We're just gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, so we, you know, that was heaven, and then then we got to work, and it was just, I don't know, it was just a steady flow of tears and work, and it was great.
Who was the biggest crier?
I probably am putting my hat in that ring. I think Tony is in that ring. Yeah, I don't know, everybody. Tim is very, you know, available to his feelings as well. Everybody, yeah, which is a compliment. Yeah, so you know, we all cried at some point.
Yeah, and looking
Or all points, like me.
like every day, I
really
was a
did. I mean,
puddle.
by the end, it was just like, you just turn them on. Like, it was just like, there was no, you're just a fount. You're just a font of tears.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like at that point you're with family, so it's like, yeah, we're
That's
just
what
gonna
it
let
was.
it out.
That's what it was, and yeah, I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah. I can tell by the look in your face just how emotional and special it is, which is so great as a fan to hear.
Good.
Because it seems like you guys like each other, and to hear that the set just seemed like a very positive place is always a good thing to hear.
Yeah, and you just don't get that every day. You just don't. I mean, we worked together for 8 years, and the lifespan, you get a certain amount, right? So yeah, like it's also a gift to just know that this is the moment to do this. You know what I mean? There's no like questioning, is this okay? Is that, it's just, okay, have this.
So you mentioned the life and the time span. Since the show started, you become a mother.
Yeah.
I mean, your life has changed. And
Like,
so when you
completely
look back
changed.
on this time.
That
have you
was
had-
it.
Yeah, have you had a time to like reflect on just like the past?
I think it's all been reflection. It's been a long slew of reflection. I'm in therapy. It's fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, even when my big catharsis, began when Julia called with the news that this was the last season. I was driving to my fantasy football league's draft, and she called, and I said immediately, thank you. It's just gratitude for these years, and and also gratitude that she told us, and that we didn't have to find out in some strange way like so many shows. And then, once I hung up the phone in the car, I pulled over and I just had a catharsis cry, complete catharsis cry, because just so much, like everything I know of my life right now, really, has taken its shape in the last 8 years, and blessedly, the most important parts of my life, my kids, and professional accolades and the growth that you have as a person and an actor, has all happened because of this. So yeah, I'm eternally grateful. It's crazy, and that's the case for many of us. I mean, many of us had our kids on this show. Reed didn't have kids before, Tim, and so yeah, it's been darn special. Yeah.
Can we go back to that fantasy football thing for a second?
I lose all the time. I have not figured out the best I've done ever, and we've done this for about 8 years actually. The best I've ever done is fourth in the league, and it's of 12, and usually I'm 11 or last. I was last this year. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I just always pick people who get injured. It's sad.
Do you really enjoy watching football, or are you just sort of in it just to be part of the group?
To be quite honest, I used to enjoy it more. Okay. I used to be really, really very into watching American football, and it's been, I don't know, the sheen has been taken off of it in the last couple of years, and I'm not as it's not as fun to watch, but I like supporting the people who use it as a platform for what they need to use it for. So.
That is a very diplomatic, Amy way to say that.
Right? I don't know. I hope so.
I appreciate that. Let's go to the audience. I know we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
Hi, Anna. Good morning.
Hi.
First of all, you are so credible of My Girl movies.
Oh, thank you.
Especially the first one's more touching.
Yes, that one's definitely more touching. My Girl too.
But the second one's good too. But both of them are good.
Both classics.
Well, I can't take a lot of responsibility for either one, having been a child, but thank you.
My question is, what is the best, funniest moments on the show, even though the show is ending so soon?
Best, funniest moments. I mean, really and truly, one of my favorite moments, both on screen and off, was in episode, I think it was episode 8 of season 3. It was the London episode, and there's a moment where we all sort of, it's kind of noises off, like where we all leave and we all have to wait for our we have to wait there. We can't actually exit, so we're all sitting in the room that's still shooting, but we're off camera. And those who are on camera are Matt Walsh playing Mike and Tony Hale playing Gary. And in the course of their scene, they back into a tray of china, of a nice tea set, a nice china tea set, and they break it. They're like, and that's my impression of Tony Hale.
Shocking.
I just realized I have one. And they're gasped, and then you can hear Arm and Julia in the other room going, keep going, keep. which was the best decision. So they kept going, and Tony was like, the Queen's China. And so then they start like figuring out how they can like sweep it up, and they end up putting it behind a curtain, and like it was like Laurel and Hardy. It was so brilliant. It was such physical, like just, it was just vaudeville. It was heaven, and we were all cracking up, you know, off camera. It was heaven. Like that's what you want to do when you go to work. You know? So yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I love that.
I hope that.
Those are two really great people to be in that position too.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, they should, like they could do some kind of a duo. Oh, that would be so beautiful.
We pitch that to somebody?
Oh my gosh, just like set up and set up punchline, set up punchline.
It would be
Oh,
fantastic.
it'd be
I'd
brilliant.
watch that show any day.
Oh, yeah. And maybe
I mean,
one
let's
of them
pitch
plays
that
an
out.
accordion
I
or
feel like you
something.
know some people you could pitch that
You
to.
haven't. I don't know. I don't know nobody. I've met you.
Okay, well, I have no clout. Who do we have? One more?
Sure.
Hi. First of all, thank you for playing one of my favorite characters ever.
Aw, My
Yeah.
pleasure.
But my question is, did you ever like create a mini backstory for your character to help sharpen that vision?
Yeah.
If you could
Yeah.
tell us.
Oh yeah, I got notebooks. My yeah, well, I mean, okay, yeah, this is the time. We don't get to do that. Yeah, so Amy, in my opinion, well, we know, you know, she went to University of Pennsylvania for undergrad. I think that she studied history, and I think, you know, government history is what she, you know, in my opinion, I think she like wrote a thesis on constitution, you know, on like the Constitution, or you know, and suffrage. Anyway, so that's my head. And then she goes to Yale Law, and constitutional law is my thought. I always had this idea. That never got, like, I just had this, this is purely for myself, but I always had this idea that, like, she was in love once, and it was to a professor, and so it was, like, illicit and shouldn't have happened, and he probably broke her heart, and whatever, and that's why she just, like, swore off any feelings for, like, you know, and she was just like, I'm just gonna achieve, and then she saw Selina as the way to achieve. Yeah, she was her legislative director, I think, as a senator. We established that at some point. So those are some backstory. Her dad was a lobbyist, because that's why when he had the stroke, they were in McLean, Virginia. Because I was like, or they were at she's in McLean, they were George Washington, and I was like, oh, so like her family's nearby. So okay. So there you go. Like that's, yeah. You kind of had to change your backstory based on what happens in your show. Like that was something I learned about doing a series, was I would have all these ideas about where she came from, what she did, and then they'd be like, and I'd be like, yeah, she has two brothers, and you know that's why she's like, you know, kind of a bully to people. She has to like, you know, she had to like fight her way, and then all of a sudden, and then like we even had like a picture of like the brothers like in her office in the first like season or two, and then it's like all of a sudden there's like a sister, you know, and you're like, oh, I got to change that. Okay, so there's a level of flexibility that you need to have, but that's kind of the fun of it. I resisted that for a second, then I thought, okay, chill out.
It was really special that you shared that with us, though. I mean, honestly, that was such a good question.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll talk forever about crafty stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of music does she listen to?
She really likes the Police. And I think she has a crush on Jeff Goldblum. I don't know why.
But who doesn't have a crush on
Right?
Jeff Goldblum? That's amazing.
I know.
Well, I cannot wait to see how Amy's story wraps up. She has been one of my favorite characters, and obviously a favorite character for so many viewers
Thank you.
on Veep. If you guys want to check out the final season of Veep, it premieres on March 31st at 10:30 p.m. Eastern on HBO. Give it up for Anna Chlumsky.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.